Mel? Mel? Get the thing, Mel! Alright, worst Colbert impression ever of calling Val. Okay, so on this episode of Fun with Planes, here are airplanes, here is fun. I'm here in my new makeshift studio. Much big thanks up to my spouse who made this possible. So today we are going to talk about the very important topic of how is it that I know two people who graduated with film degrees from Temple, neither of which have a YouTube channel. And I was like, if I went to school to be an accountant and I didn't do anything accountingly, whatever, accounting is fucking boring. Excel is boring. PowerPoint is boring. But PowerPoint. Oh, impromptu fucking humor much? Yes. So, okay. It's so hard to know where to look. You have to be like focused. Hi. My focus is good, isn't it? Do you like how I have little tips here? And do you like how I have little right there? Yeah. It's pretty good. I don't consider myself a handsome man. I consider myself a very handsome man. So, okay. Fun with airplanes. That was the whole point. So, let's have some fun. Let's not be too serious. It's important for me to know how I look in a hat in different environments. A lot of people don't really understand how important hat stuff is. Now, I disparaged a close friend and a family member earlier by saying, hey, you went to Temple and now you could have probably helped me to not talk while turned away from the camera to the back. That's the kind of stuff where it's like, where's all my film school friends at? Just saying. So, okay. My whole point being, I have a degree now in fixing airplanes. And since no one's flying, there's no airplanes flying, so there's no airplanes breaking, so there's nothing to fix. Plus, as it turns out, I like talking about airplanes and shit a whole lot more than I like standing upside down in the rain doing engine watches. So here we find ourselves with an attempt at a YouTube entree-vu. Enter you. It's got nothing to do with anything. So somebody told me, like, oh, you should just have a YouTube channel because you have a big personality. And I was like, okay, that feels like a very Hollywood, like, we should do fucking lunch sometime. Can't swear on YouTube. We don't want to get demonetized. I'm not even sure what that means yet. But the kids say that. So YOLO, demonetize, GME to the moon or whatever. All right, so we're going to talk about the thing I intended for this whole podcast. It's not a podcast. I keep going like podcast. My brother-in-law is a podcaster, and I think part of it, I just assume anything you do that goes on the internet where you talk to a group of people is a podcast. What do you call a video podcast? I guess that's a YouTube video. It's like, if you go swimming once, are you a swimmer? If you swim every morning recreationally, are you a swimmer? If you have a silver medal in, like, a state for swimming, then you're a swimmer, right? Because you have the medal to prove it. I have a license to prove that I fix airplanes, but that's not what I was going to talk about. What was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about stream of consciousness in aviation, and how it's very important as a pilot or a mechanic to be focused on exactly what's going on in the moment and not to wander off. So maybe I wasn't the best mechanic in the world. Meh. But I'm told I'm a above average communicator. Now, my thought was, oh, it can't be that hard to talk for just like 5 or 6 minutes. And it turns out it's not that hard. It's also not that easy. This is all being done on like the most like makeshift. Like, I'm using some model building lighting supplies to make all of this appear as good as it possibly can. I have a hand-me-down iPad because that's the kind of white privilege I grew up in. I have some of my better things to like, look, here's my brand. It's like multicam baby Yoda. Oh, this was the whole reason I brought this in. The idea being that like we're gonna have a talk based on a thing. So this is a model that I built. It was older and younger. I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but there's a 420 there, so you can kind of get a feel of what I was into. This is called an F-82. If it looks like two P-51s that they smacked together, that's because literally that's what it is. As you can see here, the markings have nothing to do with anything. I was clearly just enjoying myself. They took out the guns that would normally be along the wing on the inlet here, and smacked them all in here. You'll also notice I put invasion stripes on. For you guys who didn't know, during D-Day, the aircraft would have these black and white stripes, and that was basically a way to say, hey, please do not shoot us. We are helping. Because friendly fire is real, guys, and you have to be aware. I so badly want to look off to the side. There's nothing here. Like, I just apparently have like I have a real pivot problem. I don't like to stay in frame. I'm anti-framing. It sounds like I only like monocoque. Which is a way of building airplane skin. My wife's like over here like, you love her? There's going to be a lot of great... See, again, I keep like, I'm going to talk over here. I'm going to put this away. I could never be a weatherman. Weatherman?
That's not really what they do.
This is what weathermen do. There's a green screen here where they're like, there's a barometer that says it's HG 412. By the way, guys, that's how you measure air pressure, which is a big part of weather. This channel is going to have some basic stuff on weather because I feel like weather science is lacking. And when you get into aviation, like so much of it is like the weather. That's why aviation is fickle, because of weather. So those are big stalking points. So I think that, like, okay, so again, now you have a good feel for like the hair, the serenity of it all. You have some light bobbling. Special thanks to Amelia for letting me use her office. Special thanks to Hasegawa for providing me with nothing. I bought that model with my own money. Thank you very much. Thank you to the unnaturally large amount of self-esteem I have to do something like this. It's always good to flirt with narcissism, and I think that there are a few ways better than arranging a whole evening around having your spouse film you, basically just being yourself in the hopes that 1,000 people will eventually be like, oh, that guy. Have to watch that guy. You know, the silly dude who talks about the F-82 and has a Yoda hat. I think it's interesting that we spend some time in society talking about how interested we are in stuff. So the intention was to send this video privately to a few people in kind of a bid to like, hey, help me do this better. But then I was like, you know, I'm actually okay with this and the way things are going. And like, I'm almost 9 minutes into this new career choice and I'm feeling pretty good. But I'm going to go after some of those people who are working in the administrative world who have degrees in doing variations of this. The entrepreneurial members of my family who do this. You know, there's someone I know who dated someone who was startled by the ocean. I think that they've probably got some good insight. Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff. So it's like, this is... Oh, I also like Hank Azaria. Not Hank Azaria. What's the guy's name? Tom and Hank, I think it is. So they do this cool thing. They're like, hey, Hank, it's Tuesday. Here's some shit that's going on. The Vlog Brothers. I was thinking about doing like a Vlog Brothers thing with my spouse, or with a sibling, or with somebody who went to temple and is now unhappy and just spending all of their time, I don't know, writing dragon literature or like trying to figure out how to use TikTok to improve metrics for running. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. And it's... I grew up in California, so now every time there's a shaking of a desk, I'm like, oh, is it a fucking earthquake? No, not an earthquake. We're good. We're good. So I did a lot of speech and debate when I was in high school and college. I am one of the very few people to have won a debate while on shrooms. It's one of my more proud moments. And I really wanted to see, like, can I go over 10 minutes and just talking head style? And if I continue to move my hands and touch the desk, does everything fucking float? We got that on film, great. That's just the best. So we're gonna have to learn some editing too. Little bit of editing. Okay, toodles.